The 16th rolls around, and you can imagine that the internet was going to be ablaze at some point, either going, oh my god, it happened, or oh my god, it didn't happen, or whatever. And I can read you a couple of things that I put on in certain places at the time, because I am going to hold my cards out onto my chest, because Mike Tendo is very much knows exactly what I'm going to mention here. Because I posted around about, let me have a look. Sorry, there's been a lot of messages, as you can imagine, since then. This is in our WhatsApp group. I posted at 6:40 in the morning on the 16th of January. I'm calling it now. Switch 2 will not be announced today. I also posted in his Discord channel around about probably early in the morning. I don't think the Switch 2 is being announced today. I can't see it happening. I think the leaks are going to be fake. I think they're going to be wrong. Oh, how I like to eat humble pie. Because around about 1 p.m. UK time, so whatever time it was across the West Coast, the East Coast of America, Nintendo dropped the first official trailer for the Nintendo Switch 2. Oh boy. The internet was ablaze.
I can't believe it, Pete. I didn't know that happened. No one knew that happened.
No, but I like to spin a yarn. You know how I am.
I know.
So, I'll read the article and then we'll go into a bit more detail with it. So, okay. This has officially been called the Nintendo Switch 2. It's finally revealed that that is the name. So I'm not necessarily wrong. It was called some degree the Switch for Leo Du. Not quite.
No, but still.
I know, but still. So, coming from VGC, after countless months of speculation, Nintendo has finally announced the Switch 2. The successor to the Nintendo Switch was revealed in a trailer published on the social media and YouTube channels on that Thursday, which featured a 2-minute look at the hardware. So this was, this is where we're going to start going into some of the leaks and speculation that was had around the system. As suggested by previous leaks, the Switch 2 looks similar to the original console, with the same layout of the screen surrounded by 2 Joy-Con controllers. However, this time the controllers appear to connect via a powerful magnet, making it less likely that they will loosen and slide apart from the console over time. So I will bring my Switch out because it is right handy to me. So everyone knows, classic Switch system, you know, there it is. Obviously, take the Joy-Cons off, you have the rail. We can see it, we'll probably see it in the video in a bit anyway. So apparently over time and heat and all that sort of thing meant that that rail would then get warped and cause the controllers to not be synced up to the console properly either. So it was a bit of an issue when it came to the design of the original Switch. That was over prolonged usage as well, and children constantly going, oh, it sounds cool when I clip it in, because that does happen too. So the Joy-Cons now appear to be black, with the colour appearing under the sticks. So as is with the Switch anyway, these thumbsticks now have a red and a blue colouring, so red on the left and blue on blue on the left, red on the right. So it makes it pretty clear that one's a player 1, one's a player 2 system basically. So appearing under the sticks at the side where they connect to the console and on the removable side grips. Hardware will come with a longer stand. So this was a revision that was had on the Switch OLED where the kickstand, so this is a model. This is a special edition Switch anyway, but it's based on the original model. Kickstand itself, quite flimsy, quite terrible, literally only one little hanging moment. On the OLED, they had it all the way across the back, and it could tilt back a lot more, so they've kind of revised that design there. But actually, they've made it a little bit more sleek, rather than this big old foldable bit of plastic at the back of the OLED system. The video officially confirms the presence of an extra button on the right Joy-Con as well, which had previously been described as a C button in various leaks. While some previous renders from third-party peripheral manufacturers appear to suggest that the new button would have the letter C on it, the button in the video shows no markings whatsoever, so it might have been that they have removed that for various reasons as to not actually show what the design of that button is as of yet. The video also briefly shows the Joy-Cons sliding across the ground towards the console. I will get into that in a moment. They have yet to confirm the release date or the price of the console, meaning at least some speculation will continue as release nears. However, at the end of the video, they did announce that there was going to be a Nintendo Direct focused solely on the Switch 2 on April 2nd. So we have got a little bit of time to kill. I'm not going into this part of the article just yet because I want to actually do something first, but they also did announce Nintendo has now confirmed that players will be able to play the Switch 2 in advance at a series of events to be held globally. So, the Switch 2 trial event will start in New York and Paris on April 4th, so a couple of days after the Direct, and will continue until the end of May, spanning various locations in North America, Europe, Oceania, and Asia. They are free to enter, and they are done on a raffle system. The tickets are currently available right now. That went live for the London event, which is being held at the Excel Centre. I believe, let me just take a look at my dating here, sorry. I need to bring my calendar up, so it was April the 11th to April the 13th, so that's the Excel Centre in London Docklands. So they're done on various different sessions, so there are a couple of sessions. There's one session on Friday, I think 2 or 3 on Saturday, and a couple on Sunday. The events are supposed to be taking place for about 4 hours, but you're given a 1 hour time slot to get to the building. If you miss the time slot, you don't get in. If you leave at any point, you don't get back in. Yes. So it's very tightly held. They're controlling it very heavily. They obviously don't want people getting out the systems. They don't want leaks. They don't want anything like that. So it is, like I said, it is solely on a balloted system that you can go onto Nintendo's website and find out about. Anyway, so there's a reason why we're not talking about certain parts of it. So it appears to be. I just need to bring up one particular window for this. Bear with. Because me running Shiznit in the background, I can do this. So can you see my screen?
I can.
Yep, because we're going to watch it live. So, this is the Nintendo Switch 2 system. And like I said, there is something at the end of it that I will not talk about just yet because we'll get into that in a moment. So, Kylie, have you seen this yet?
I haven't.
You haven't? Wow.
I know. I did that on purpose.
Okay, so I've described it to you, and now it will become a little bit more apparent what is meant by it. So, you don't really need the sound anyway, but if the sound comes through, please let me know. So, let's go. And we will pause it to discuss certain parts of it so we don't get struck as well. So, yep, as you can see, old Switch system. Shows exactly how it is.
Yep.
Right. And here we go. So, take note of this, by the way, just so you know. Sorry.
Okay.
Take note of that. Okay? So, USB-C connector.
Yeah.
As was originally the case on the original Switch system, USB-C connector at the bottom of the system, obviously for docking. Let's continue. there is now a USB-C connector at the top of the system. Probably for charging when in what's a tabletop mode, as they called it. Okay. So yeah, as you know, you can see the vents are probably slightly different to how they were on the original Switch system as well. So they are much more flat on this system. They're a lot more concaved on the new system. You can generally see as well, this one's a lot more flat. It seems a lot more curved as well. Here itself, you can see where my mouse cursor is. That's obviously going to be where the game carts are done. So it is done on a game cart system again. Yep. So there's the kickstand. Right. So you see what I mean, like compared to that piece of crap.
Yep.
Yep.
It's a good kickstand.
And it likes the limbo. See?
Oh, okay.
So here's the new Joy-Con designs. So yeah, as I said, the colours, markings. So I'll take my right Joy-Con out to show you. Let's just... Yep, that's how it's going to be. So you see how flat it is by comparison. Now, they have extended those properly to mean that those buttons there, the Z buttons, are now probably a lot more easily accessible and a lot easily pressed. Okay. Especially when not using the Joy-Con strap.
Right.
The Joy-Con strap is still able to be used, but you'll see it probably a little bit later how they are done. Also, notice this here. See where mouse is? Right in the middle of the Joy-Con.
Yeah.
The connector itself.
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll notice as well, that never had that on the original Joy-Cons. Okay, because slide rail, as I explained. Let's continue. So now it's going to show the other side anyway. And again. Right. Now this is a feature that people have been talking about quite heavily. Okay? Notice how it's been sat on there. So people were surmising that this is probably one of the new features of the Switch system. The potential to be used as a mouse.
Oh.
So, yeah. So notice how, obviously, I'll take it back a slight bit. So how they cue it up here. So just watch and then see how it happens afterwards. And how it's moving around on the actual desk itself.
Okay. That's wild. Okay.
Yeah, so people surmising that, you know, they can use it as a mouse. One of the things that they're thinking of possibly as a possibility is the return of Mario Paint.
It does open up an entire avenue of games.
Right.
Yeah.
So this brings back to the fact that I said to take notice of the connectors on the Joy-Cons as well. Also, you notice as well from this, they did show the Joy-Con straps again. So
yes, they did. Yeah.
So, sorry. There. Right?
Yep.
So you can see it.
Yep.
There you go. Right there. So you can still use Joy-Con straps as before, which is fine. So, right, so take note. Yep, that connector there. Okay. They just clip back in rather than slide.
And slide, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, they just snap on magnetically.
Yeah. Which makes sense.
Yep.
The sliding always was weird to me.
I'm not gonna lie, it was always a weird function to me, but you know, I actually think it's probably a nice little feature for it. So, and there it is in all its design, as you can see. Probably a little bit more curved than the original Switch system in some degrees. You know, you also notice as well the L and R buttons probably go down the system a little bit more than they do on the original Switch system. So you can see that there. They go down a little bit, but probably they're a little bit more defined because they go down as far as the A button on the system now.
Yeah.
And they're level on the left hand side. They're level to probably to the near middle point of the joystick. See, having a Switch handy was quite useful for this. So, let's carry on. Boom. Switch 2. So, people were pissed because they were like, oh, it's not a cool name. No, smart decision to call it the Switch 2 after the, branding. They've got 145 to 150 million Switch units out there. You don't want Grandma to get absolutely confused when trying to buy a new system for Timmy down the road. You know, oh, I want that new Nintendo console. Oh, you mean that Switch 2? Yeah, that's clearly very easily defined.
Okay, I can see that.
Yep. Yeah. Right. So there was something else.
Okay.
Let's continue. Boom! They basically soft announced Mario Kart 9.
You had to. Absolutely, they had to.
So this was picked up on very, very, very quickly.
Yes.
And this was noticed by Gorney in our EGX chat on WhatsApp. Take note of this, right? So I'm circling it at the moment, if you can see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 18, 24 podium places.
Yep.
There is a potential that this could be 24 players.
Pretty cool.
This was also noticed that this is definitely a new game. The art style is somewhat different.
Right.
And this track is nowhere to be seen in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Yeah.
This is a whole new track.
Yep. Absolutely it is.
So,
it absolutely is. Let's
continue a little bit further because there was a few other things that were also noted. So, here's the general design of what Mario looks like in the kart.
Uh-huh.
Take note of this little circular thing right on the side here.
Okay.
Just bear that in mind, alright, for the moment. So, here is the design of the Switch dock. It's not as flat. It's in fitting with the rest of the system. I'm not taking my dock out right now. It's right next to me, but I'm not going to do it. It's a lot more square. This one is a lot more circular. So, yeah, it's a lot more curved. We don't know what the back of it looks like, but the leaks are surmising potentially that it could be a little bit more flatter, and not flatter at the back, but not have as much at the back if possible. But who knows? We haven't seen that in full yet. Okay. So, new Joy-Con grip, basically what you got with the Switch system itself, plays exactly the same as the previous Joy-Con grip, except it doesn't have the rails. It does the magnetic snapping. So yeah, right. I'm going to move on slightly. So there was an eagle-eyed viewer somewhere that made note of something. Sorry, I'm going to have to frame by frame this quickly.
Okay.
Look at this here. This portly Donkey Kong-like figure.
Yeah, I mean, it's Donkey. That's how I would see it, yes.
Well, people zoomed that in.
Of course
That
they
is
did.
the movie design for Donkey Kong.
Oh.
Donkey Kong has had a redesign.
Oh.
He looks very different.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, this is why I said take note of that little circular thing on the side of the cart. You can see here
Yeah.
and here. Because jumping it forward. So, you may not have noticed that so much there. Right? Giant booster pads.
Oh.
The roads appear to be much larger and a lot wider than they have been on previous Mario Kart games.
Right. Okay.
Mostly because they're probably the premise of the 24 races.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, people are now surmising this is the main gimmick that's coming from this. I say gimmick. There's the main draw of what the new Mario Kart is going to do. We're not even sure it's Mario Kart 9. Anyway.
Assumption, yes.
But the next couple of frames will show you what potentially the new gimmick could be. So, here. This little thing here, known as Yoshi's gas station.
Right, okay.
Boost and petrol.
Ooh, okay. That's...
The new draw could be that you have to actually pit this time to refuel.
That's an interesting take.
Much like Burnout and its boost system.
Yes.
Or F-Zero.
Yes. Exactly. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
That's kind of cool, though. I'm not going to lie. Like, that appeals to me.
Yep. Anyway, let's move on. So, there you go. 2025.
Yeah.
So, no date, no nothing. But obviously, Direct coming in not too long.
Yeah.
There was something else that was also shown.
Okay.
Is this. I'll read it for those who can't see it. Plays Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive games as well as Nintendo Switch games. There is also an asterisk.
Yes.
Nintendo Switch 2 plays both physical and digital Switch games. Certain Switch games may not be supported on or fully compatible with the Switch 2. Details will be shared on the Nintendo website at a later date. But this clearly shows the Switch 2 system has Mario Wonder running on it through the game cart. So they have confirmed, they had previously confirmed, but this is full confirmation. Full, to some degree, backwards compatibility with the Nintendo Switch catalogue. Nana is bringing up a good point here. So he says, certain Switch game probably means Ring Fit Adventure. You're on mute, by the way.
No idea how that mutes itself. I haven't done anything, so that's very weird. But yeah, that's the part I really want to talk about is this backwards compatibility.
Yeah.
Because there's two things I'm curious about.
Sure.
Backwards compatibility, absolutely. But the chipset. We already know that the original Nintendo Switch was years behind already.
Mm-hmm.
Is the Nintendo Switch 2, have they upgraded it to modern chipsets, or are they still behind?
We have no idea because obviously I haven't released any tech specs, anything like that. But whatever it was before, I can't remember what the actual thing was.
I had it on the top of my brain, and then
but the architecture itself was already quite quite old as it is anyway.
Yes.
But
yes.
People are surmising that potentially that this is a brand new chipset that's specifically designed for the Nintendo Switch 2, potentially using Samsung, possibly with Nvidia at the back part of it as well, using and it's possible that there was a job listing that went up a few years ago about the potential for DLSS support. So the new Switch set, the chipset could actually use some sort of AI upscaling technology, but but also it could be that technology is also there to upscale previous Switch games to a much more cleaner resolution. Or say cleaner, but let's just say 1080p rather than and 60 FPS potentially. You know, because there are certain games like Mario Odyssey, the frame rate dipped below 30 frames per second at times. I mean, it ran pretty well for the most part, but there were certain kingdoms that were a bit more graphically intensive for the older chipset that didn't work particularly well. So, yeah, that's... Well, let's just see if there was anything more that was stated. I don't think there was.
Hey, Pete, as you're a
Hang on,
very
let's just... I'm just making sure. So there you go. There was the confirmation that obviously second of April for the Switch 2 specific direct, and that was it. And, yeah.
It's interesting they chose not to release it on April Fool's Day.
Yeah, that would have been a really bad idea.
It would have been terrible. Yeah. But Pete, as you are the resident Nintendo fanboy, we've never hidden that. That is your thing.
Don't know what you're talking about there. I don't know. It's like, it's almost like there might be a few things that might give that away at some point. You know, there's a bullet bill and there's a Switch on my desk, but there's also a PS5 on the desk as well. You know.
There you go. Well, as we always say, Pete's a fanboy, but he says,
What's this?
Yeah.
What's this?
Yeah.
What's that?
Yep.
What's that? Yeah, cool. All right, yeah. Just put my cards out on the table, you know, just so you get the point. Just so you know.
Just so you know. But having said that, then, what are your I really want to know. Are you hyped for this? Or is it lacking for you? Are you just like, I'm gonna get it day one purchase?
I was gonna. So this is what I meant by I was gonna talk about something a bit more. So let's just say that I've now watched this trailer about 6 times, which is why you can see that, you know, I've also looked into some of the theories that are going around and all of that, which is why I've brought all of them to the table like that. You know, not all of this is my own check-in, because the first time I watched this trailer was actually out. So I had to then go back and watch it again a few more times to make sure I picked up on some of the nice little cues. There have been discussions that have been had in the EGX group that I've got on WhatsApp, Mike Tendo's Discord as well. So I've also entered the ballot to try and go to the Excel Centre to go and actually try and play this. Excellent. So if I do, there'll be coverage on it if we can talk about it, of course. But, you know, they're not going to stop people to some degree unless there's some crazy NDA. But we'll know more about it, obviously, on the 2nd of April. I'll know more about whether or not I get into the actual event itself around about the end of January. I think it's next week, or the week after, sorry. The ballots close and then you find out. Who knows what happens from there. But to long story short, I think the design is actually exactly as I expected it to be.
Right.
I didn't expect it to be absolutely breaking the bank. I didn't expect it to be anything more than a slightly modified, slightly posher, a little bit more sophisticated version of the Switch, with some of the revisions that they had in mind when they did the OLED version. Admittedly, we don't necessarily know what kind of screen that this is using. We don't know if it's LED, LCD, or OLED yet. So that's a little bit of a worry in terms of that for myself, because I think if they're going to put out a system, I'd like it to be an OLED one. Yeah,
it almost seems like it has to be that. If I'm being honest right here, it needs to be OLED.
I would like it to be OLED. I'm not sure it is going to be. If it's going to be anything, I reckon it's going to be an LCD one to start. Like, they can output a 1080p, and what they're probably going to go for is performance over fidelity. They're going to want to optimize the battery life as much as possible with this one, because you remember what those original Switch systems were like. You know, Breath of the Wild playing for about 3 hours, if that.
Yeah.
They're not going to want another situation like that. They have also had 7+ years of the Switch, so they've now been able to revise the technology to
Yeah.
a better degree. I think that whilst we can talk about necessarily everything to do with the system itself, the main thing that hampers any system launch is its games and its library. And whilst we don't know anything just yet, we are pretty much under the guise that with the backwards compatibility thing, we are going to have games that are available to play on the Switch both digitally and physically in your backwards compatible library. What it's going to rest on is obviously its software for exclusive, sales for the Switch 2. Are they going to turn around and say Metro Prime 4 is going to play better on the Switch 2? More than likely. Is it going to be a dual release like they did with Breath of the Wild? More than likely. Is Pokemon Legends ZA or whatever it's called going to be a simultaneous Switch 2 launch and Switch launch? Of course it is. They'd already told us, Pokemon Company. They were idiots. When they said simultaneously worldwide, we all knew what it meant. It was just dumb.
Yes.
But it's the Mario Kart. Is Mario Kart coming out as a day one launch, system? No, going to be a system sell. Of course it is. It's Mario Kart. It's like one of the greatest, selling games on the Switch system. Is it going to be enough to sell Switch systems like day one after everyone's played Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for years? Yes, of course it is. It's the first one for 11 years. Apart from Tour. We don't talk about Tour. They were obviously doing something to probably see how certain things were going to work with some of the with the booster pack. Probably ideas they might implement in the new game. Fine, but it's the rest of the software I'm not going to be certain on. Do they launch a new Splatoon game? After they've had 2 on the system already, like on the previous system, quite close to each other. I don't know. I think they might hold that off for another year. But I think what's going to do numbers for this is if they have a very similar launch pattern that they had for the Switch system, where it was a banger, either first party or huge third party draw every single month, where we had things like Breath of the Wild, then the Splatoon test fire come out at the end of March, April had ARMS and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and then Xenoblade 2 and stuff like that. They had games constantly coming out for that first 12 months. Odyssey came out in like September. If they do that again, this could be well on track to do another load of gangbusters, because I surmised, this is where I said my prediction was completely wrong. I thought March this was going to be announced. I didn't expect January. I was surprised, actually. Yeah. But I'm still sticking with the fact that I think that this is a summer, late summer, early autumn launch at September. It gives them plenty of time to show off the system until the end of May, and then go, oh, by the way, you've only got a couple of months to wait. So, what I was saying earlier is this may have made my decision on certain things, is that I am buying this day one. I've already put down my intention to pre-order this. Of course I have. I was always going to.
Yes.
This is mostly because I will have a certain chunk of money coming to me later on in the year through workplace incentives and all that. Yeah. But it does mean that I can also buy a Steam Deck first. Because that was the thing I was hinging on, is if I don't, if the Switch 2 comes out a little earlier than I thought, I'll buy that. But then I'll save for the Steam Deck another point in time. No, the Steam Deck is going to be the first purchase I make, which will mean that I get to play Balatro on holiday a lot more than I thought I would. So, great. Fantastic. Thanks, Nintendo, for helping me with that decision. But yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised. Or say not pleasantly surprised. I'm happy with the reveal trailer as a whole. I know there are certain people out there, including some article writers for certain outlets, saying, where's the weird? Where's the this? Where's the that? They've played it too safe. No, they've done exactly what they should be doing.